All right, so in this video, what we're going to do is we are going to create the spine spline IK rig. Basically, we're going to put some stuff in here. So unlike most of the other regions of our body where there are specific points of articulation, like it's just one bend in this specific spot, the spine instead, it has many bends in it, right? It's much more like rope or like an antenna or a tail, right? So and depending on what you have, like we don't have a ton here, but if we had a lot, that could be quite difficult to rig, to make all of those, to put a bunch of different specific controllers, and each one of those would be difficult to work with. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a spline. So a spline, basically what it does is it draws a curve inside of the joint chain, and then the curve itself, however it's bent, the joints will try to follow them. That's the rough idea of it. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and let's template this to make things a little bit easier. And first thing I'm going to do is actually create a CV curve and have that drive up here, and we're going to use that as our spline as opposed to, actually, you know what? Let's not do that. We'll do it. We'll just let it do it for us because that'll be easier. But you will see some shifting, and I think that'll be useful for you to know about. So we're going to go to skeleton, and we're going to go to create IK spline. Hit the option box for me. And I'm going to hit reset tool, and we'll do root on curve, auto parent curve, auto simplify. Yeah, that's fine. All those settings are fine. So what you're going to do is you're going to click here, and then you're going to click here. Now, I don't know if you can see it, so I'm going to undo and redo. Control Z, Shift Z. So see how it shift? So that's a really common problem because what it does is it's creating a curve in here, but the curve has less points than there's only 4 points in it. Than the spine does, and also they don't line up. So what will end up happening is you'll get a little bit shifting. That's why I had you guys actually bind the model to the skeleton first, because that way if the skeleton shifted, it would actually shift the model as well. If you try to bind it afterwards, the skeleton would be in a different position of where you would actually want it. So I'm going to go ahead and leave that alone, but you know, in the grand scheme of things, I'd want to be a little bit more particular. We would create a curve and drive that up, but you'll do that in the other class. If you take the rigging class, it'll be a little bit more complicated. So this should just give a good rough idea of how it works. All right, so one of the things I do want to show you is this. So if I have this, it's not like other ones. Like if I hit W, do you see a manipulator, E, R? I guess I could scale it. But that's not how this works. The way it works instead is that there is a curve inside. See this little curve here? And what you do is you manipulate the curve points. So here's a point right here. And the skeleton, so you see the line in here? The skeleton will try to follow it. That's how it works. So you actually have to create controllers for each one of those points in order for to control the thing in general. What we're going to do is do something a little bit easier. I'm going to make one controller on both sides, and they'll control 2. So let's go to create nerves primitives, circle again. I'm going to take it, I'm going to point snap it to the hips here. I'm going to hold V and point snap it. We're going to scale it up real big. And I'm just going to make some adjustments. I'm going to put this on reference so I can see a little bit better. And a little bit more like that. And we'll call that good. All right, so that will be 1. Put this back on template. And I'm just going to rename it. So we'll call this Logan underscore spine controller underscore, actually let's just call it lower spine, lower delete spine controller underscore C, doesn't really matter, underscore CRV, like so. And I'm just going to copy that name. All right, actually I'm just going to duplicate this anyways. Control D, W and V to point snap it up to the other one, and then we'll just change this to upper spine. All right, so upper spine controller CRV, and I'm going to go ahead and put this back on reference, and I'm just going to scale this accordingly so that it's a little bit easier to work with. Now, if you need to make some adjustments, like you might notice, like see how mine's a lot farther out here than this side, I might go through and do that, but I'm just going to leave it for now. But you can make any sort of adjustments you need in order to make that look a little bit better. Okay, let's select them both and just do modify freeze transformations. I'm also going to do edit, delete by type, not all by type, delete by type history. just to clear that out. And then these are kind of ugly, so we're going to do that same trick we did before. I'm just going to go here, go to the attribute editor. You can see it's already expanded and everything. So you just want to do the enable overrides and just give it a color. So again, I am just going to go ahead and I am going to use red. Is that what you said here? Yeah. So different people color code things differently. I typically will color code my stuff based on the type of function that they run. So since these are IK, they're going to be IK controllers in essence. I'm just going to make them red, just like this is red. So you would manipulate these by moving them, not just rotating them. That's the idea anyway. Okay. That looks acceptable. All right. So now what we need to do is basically parent the top and bottom ones. So what I want to do is I'm going to go back here. We're going to actually turn off the geometry so I can see a little bit easier. And the other thing I'm going to do is turn off joints because it's really hard to get to that curve on the inside. So I'm going to go to show viewport and we're going to turn joints off so I don't see them. And then I should be able to get to this. Okay. So what I'm going to do is you're going to right click, go to control vertex, and I want to select, you will see there are, that stupid handle's in the way. I'm just going to turn it off. You don't have to turn yours off. I just want, where's the visibility? It's going to turn off so you can see a little better. So you'll see there's 4 of them. See, 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to take the bottom 2. We're going to more or less kind of parent them to this. Take the top 2, parent them to this. So what I want you to do is grab the bottom 2. And then we're going to go to, let me move this out of the way. We're going to go to deform cluster. It's going to create a little C. We're going to do the same thing on the top. Select the top 2 and just hit G. So it's the last thing we did. Now, take this cluster and just parent it to this, P. Take that cluster and parent it to this. You might find it easier to actually grab them down here. Also be aware it's going to put it inside of a group. You might see a little thing as a blah, 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 put a group. Just know that that's why that's happening. It's because it works based off of relative position. And so in order to maintain its current position, it has to create a group so that it doesn't like fling out. Okay. So now what you'll see is that when I grab the bottom here, you'll see it'll move the curve like this. And when I grab the top here, it will move the curve like that. Okay. I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to turn this IK handle back on. Put that back to 1. We should rename this too, actually. Let's call this Logan underscore spine underscore C underscore IK handle 01. Okay, just so that it has a name. And then this will be the Logan underscore spine curve spine spline. There we go. Spine spline curve underscore C underscore CRV. Just so that we know what that is. Good. Okay. So I'll make sure everything's named. All right. So let's just go ahead. I'm going to turn on the, we'll just do show all again. That'll just make sure everything's turned back on. You could also just go to show viewport and just turn on specifically, but since everything should be on anyway, it's fine. So now what you'll see is that when I grab this, you'll see it will move the bottom. And when you grab the top, it will move the top. Okay. You can also rotate these. Okay. So hopefully you can kind of see that. Let me put this on template so you can kind of see a little better, right? All right. There are a couple of issues though. So one is that you'll notice is I want this to move with this because if I rotate this, yeah, this doesn't go with it. So I'm just going to grab this, shift select this, and hit P. So now when this rotates, it also rotates the top one, just makes it a little more natural. And you can see I can now rotate this like this. And so if I want to like kind of have them lean over that way, we would just grab them and then rotate. Okay, like so. Now there is one issue that you may have already seen. You may not have. When you try to rotate, when you try to twist, there is no twist. And the reason for that is that if you remember, we're controlling this by moving those points. If you take a point in space, you can't spin it. It has no rotation. There's nothing to rotate around. So in order to twist this, we're actually going to just add, we're going to attach the rotate Y of this attribute to the twist, where you twist of this attribute. And that's how we're going to do it. So if you recall, we're going to do that through the connection editor. So go Windows. Actually, I'll show you. Do I want to do it another way? We'll just do it this way. Window, General Editor, Connection Editor. So I'm going to select the controller first. Reload left. So the upper spine controller. Then we're going to select the IK handle, reload right, and I want you to go to the rotate Y of this. So alphabetical rotate Y, and we want to go to the twist of this. Okay, then you can close that. And what you're going to see now is that when I twist this, it will subsequently twist that. And now that should function kind of like you would expect it to. Another thing that I'm going to do is this, just to help things move along. We're going to select this and shift click on this. And yeah, we're beyond rigging. Go to constraint. When you do parent, hit the option box. Just do edit, reset settings. It should have maintain offset checked on. And the rest of this should look like this, and just hit add. What that does, it just makes sure that that joint moves with it, because we might actually end up taking that off later on, but for now, it'll just help it run a little bit better. So we should have now a spine, and you can see we can even almost make our character walk now, right? Because I can move this forward, then take this leg, move that leg forward, right? And we're getting really close. So I think that's all I really need to do at the moment. So you can see we have all the pieces here. There are a couple of issues you'll see later on that we'll have to deal with. One of the problems is that you can see all of these things are kind of left out in the open. There should be a single node that everything goes underneath. We're going to have to clean this all up. You'll see us do that later on. But for now, you've now done IK legs, and you've done an IK spline chest. Next week, what we're going to do are FK controls. And so that will be basically, we're going to do the arms in an FK mode, which isn't really too different. I mean, it's the same thing as what it's doing here. It's just, but we're just going to make controllers for it. It's actually a little bit more complicated than you would think. You would think it'd be really simple, but it's unfortunately not. So we'll do that in the next one. Like I said, there's probably some issues with this that I can't think of right now, but we'll fix it when, at the very end, we're going to go through and we're going to fix the whole rig. Once we get all the pieces kind of done, we'll have to parent things and restructure it. But for now, that should be good. Okay, so yeah, so good luck.